So here in World Economic Forum, AI is one of the big buzzwords here. And in your area of business, AI plays a key role. If you can just tell us how it is helping, AI is helping improve productivity, speed, and the quality in food and delivery business.
So, Barun, AI is obviously we are talking Gen AI more now because AI has been around for a while. But we are looking at using Gen AI across our businesses. In some parts, Barun, it is already quite evolved. For example, if you think about customer service and it's not just about productivity or cost, it's actually also about enhancing experience. Let me give you an example. For example, if there's somebody calls customer service, and I have the ability through Gen AI to live understand the quality of that discussion, and I can do something about it immediately, right? That's a power that Gen AI is unleashing. Now that's so there are use cases where it is clearly already evolved, and a large percentage of work is starting to happen in that area. Second, I do believe that in terms of just generating intelligence at your fingertips, and intelligence could be for anyone because it's democratizing a lot of things. So whether it's our uh, a simple example for restaurant partners for them to understand what happened yesterday, right? Which dishes moved, which dishes didn't. For our delivery partners to understand where to go to get more maximum orders. For our leadership to understand what happened to the business yesterday. I think those things have become far more self-use because of Gen AI than it ever was. And third, of course, there is a bunch of things happening on an experimental basis, where I don't think there's clear proof yet that AI can work or Gen AI can work or it can work at the right cost. But it's important at this juncture to sort of embrace it. And culturally, what we are doing, Varun, is that at least the top 500 leaders of the company have to stand up and answer in every performance appraisal on how they have embraced Gen AI and what are they doing with it. So it is a transformational change. There's no doubt about it, and we are right. We have embraced it fully.
Now with AI, obviously robotics is being a key role here, be it in warehouses, everywhere. There have been some test cases of drone deliveries and also food being delivered through drone and all. How feasible it can be and how far it can be for Indian case of India.
Look, Varun, I never bet against technology. That's just my learning in life that whatever we can't see happens, right? And that's the power of technology and transformative technology, especially. So I don't know about the future. At present, I will say in our businesses, the use case is not that high. There could be some pilots and experiments going on in different parts, but I won't say that this is mainstream in the business. But tomorrow, what can happen? And see, for every each of these technologies, because the costs need to come down over time, and that's when usage goes up because there's always a competing resource which can do the same job, and if that curve doesn't change, then the adoption is slower. I don't think robotics and drone technology in our world is still at that phase where it can be called anything except experimental.
Cost being a key factor.
Not cost, also effectiveness. Like for example, I think drones are great at delivering at a particular spot, right? But how do you go to the last mile? Like for example, even in a office complex or a residential society, it can go to one place or one position, but you need your food at your doorstep, right? So those are the questions which will are unsolved. But I'm sure as things evolve, models change, they transform, things happen.
We are also in the at the beginning of the year. So how do you see the food business as such going forward? And also how do we see Swiggy going forward? Do we expect some kind of global expansion also from Swiggy?
So, but on global expansion right now, there's nothing on the cards. Nothing that we have been contemplating. India still, for us, represents a fairly large opportunity to chase, right? And not just in food, also in multiple other businesses. On food, particularly, we have been guiding the markets to a 18 to 20% growth rate year on year, and I think trends are holding up to that. Even if you look at our last quarter numbers, so overall, that's the medium term outlook. But I do believe, this is my personal view, that given what I see of penetration levels in India, in terms of whether you take restaurants per thousand population or any metric, we are way below not just Western numbers, but even some of the Southeast Asian and Asian countries in terms of just pure penetration of food. So that is a huge headroom available. I think the work cut out there is not just to grow food delivery, which is roughly grows at about 2x of the food market. But my wish is that the entire ecosystem and the government comes together to do a lot more for growth of the fundamental core food sector itself, because that happens, we are a natural beneficiary of that growth when that happens.
But would you want to give any figure to what is kind of untapped market that you have in India? You said there is a lot more to be done.
If you think about it, probably about 10 to 12% of India has ever used food delivery.
There is.
So, by definition, 85 to 90% hasn't, right? And that's the consuming class which is will come in at what point. And we have a job cut out, because, frankly, there are emerging consumers coming from that balance 85-90%, where we have to make it the product that we have far more suitable for their needs on affordability and experience.
One last thing also, because of the food delivery and other quick commerce, there has been a huge set of what we call gig economy. It has been there for a long time, but that has got a big push because of mainly food delivery and quick commerce sectors coming up. How do you see that gig economy evolving, and what kind of regulation we have, new labor code coming in?
Correct.
How do you see gig economy evolving, gig jobs evolving in the coming years?
So, Barun, if I can loosely call that flexible working, because gig sounds like a little bit of a fancy term, but the reality is flexible employment. And I truly see this as a third pillar. So, the first pillar is formal employment sector, where you sign up long term for a company and you work there. Second is, of course, entrepreneurship. And by entrepreneurship, I don't mean the fundraisers, the large businesses. I mean everybody who's chosen to work on their own. Be it opening a shop or running a small service business or whatever it is. I think this truly is creation of a third leg to creating livelihoods, right? And this also flows across. So it's not like the people who are in formal sector don't come here and don't go back. So truly, if you just look at numbers, I think last year almost 2.5 million approximately people would have worked on our platform at some point in time, right? I don't mean to say they're live at any point in time, just on our platform, right? So the scale of this is very large. And frankly, I think this is bound to grow. For regulatory purposes, I think two or three principles. One is truly treat it as different. Because the moment you don't treat it as different, and it's a choice people are also making in the form that they want to work for. If it was not true, so many won't come, few will come, right? Second is, I think the code of social security, which has come at the central level, which is still in going through its phases, is a welcome step. We welcome it. We have been engaged through multiple agencies for a long time, talking to the government and at a state level, at a central level, so we welcome it a lot. But I think I can't talk like this. It's too loud. So the central code which has come on social security is very welcome. We have been, there's been a lot of dialogue, discussion which has happened over the last 2-3 years to shape that, and I think it's still to see the full implementation come through, but it's in the right direction, and we welcome it. We in fact welcome regulation. It's not like we don't welcome regulation, but I think the only request to every stakeholder is treat it truly as different from formal employment. The moment you apply the same parameters, you'll end up throttling something which is truly different. On our part, I think one, we are deeply interested in, for obvious reasons, because this is what drives our businesses in some sense, deeply interested in making sure that this grows. And also, I think we are a job cut out, both in terms of improving this on every dimension possible over time. And also, I think explaining a lot more to people in terms of what the characteristics of this sector are, who is actually doing it. For example, it's not a monolithic person. There are people who want to do this long term. There are people who want to do this just for the month. There are students who want to do this for extra living. There are people who want to do it for a second income. There are a whole lot of people who come into the flexible employment category or flexible livelihoods category. And it is, we wake up every day to ensure that, we are relevant for them. As much as we may want to believe that, they are dependent on us. Honestly, we are absolutely, the model depends on their well-being, their excitement to keep joining that workforce. And I think it's a job cut out for everyone. It's how things evolve.